So, so Margaret, has this son whose rent keeps going up and up, and it brings up for her worry, anxiety around whether or not he's going to be safe, whether he's possibly going to be homeless. And thank you for sharing. I relate. I have had rent go up and have the same worries about myself. And you said you've done some tapping to release it, and it just keeps coming up.
And I give it to the Holy Spirit.
You give it to the Holy Spirit, and maybe the Holy Spirit just gives it back and says, no, it's yours.
Yes.
You have to deal with this. We can't help you with this. No, of course not. Of course not. But, this kind of ingrained worry is a pattern, which means it's like a habit. So you could give it to the Holy Spirit, and then your mind, your ego mind, is like going back to it because it's part of it thinks it's part of its identity. A good mother worries about her children, and worrying about the worst case scenario will somehow be beneficial. Maybe it'll prevent it from happening, or maybe it'll prepare me emotionally so if it does happen, I'll have already freaked out about it enough that it won't be a big deal. So worry is the ego's plan for keeping you safe. And for many of us, there's ancestral patterning here. In other words, it's not just your ego. Whenever you have a thought like that, you're tuning into the collective insanity, the collective worry and anxiety of parents all around the world. So anytime you have a thought and you energize it, you are not just thinking a thought, you are connecting with all the people in the world who have that thought. And the good news is that when you heal that thought, because when you are healed, you are not healed alone, you actually heal that thought or that belief for everyone, for all the worry warts all over the world. So I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I would like to do a little tapping. And I'm guessing most of you don't even know what that means. So I'll just tell you that it's as simple as tapping where I tap. And the points are quite simple. And as I tap on these points, I am going to be saying things that I welcome you all to repeat. Even though the focus is on Margaret, and you could say parental worry, I am imagining that we all can relate to being worried about our loved ones and having worst case scenarios going around in our heads. So if you don't relate to it, just by tapping and speaking, it's like a group prayer. We're all going to be focusing our love and our attention and our energy on Margaret's challenge. And we're going to just bust this out of the water. Are you ready for that, Margaret? We're going just having this just dissipate in 5 minutes. Can you hear me?
Yes,
If you're not ready for your life to change, you must leave the Zoom room now, because what you're about to see is going to change your life.
I don't want to carry this any longer.
Good.
No.
Miracles are about to happen.
Great.
So we're going to be focusing on the negative. And those of you that aren't familiar with EFT, we do that consciously with the intention to clear it. But first it's like we bring it up and then it's gone. So tapping on the side of your hand. Even though I'm worried about my son being homeless. Margaret, unmute so I can hear you say it.
Even though I'm worried about my son being homeless.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I'm thinking about the worst things that could happen to him.
Even though I'm thinking about the worst things that can happen to him.
I give permission for my body to relax now.
Give permission for my body to relax now.
even though I'm worried sick about my son.
even though I'm worried sick about my son.
Because a part of me thinks that's what a good mother does.
Because a part of me thinks that's what a good mother does,
That's what love does.
that's what love does.
So even though I'm worried sick about my son,
Even though I'm worried sick about my son,
I choose to love, honor, and accept myself now.
I choose to love, honor, and accept myself now,
And all of these anxious feelings.
and all of these anxious feelings.
All right, you can do both hands. It doesn't matter. There's no wrong way to do it. I am worried sick about my son.
I am worried sick about my son.
What if he can't afford rent anymore?
What if he can't afford rent anymore?
What if he ends up homeless?
What if he ends up homeless?
What if I have to take him in?
What if I have to take him in?
And I don't want to.
I don't want to.
I'm experiencing such a burden,
I'm experiencing such a burden,
thinking about possible futures
thinking about possible futures.
that probably won't happen.
Probably won't happen.
Maybe I believe on some level that this is what a good mother does.
Maybe I believe that on some level that this is what a good mother does.
Maybe I believe that this is what love does.
Maybe I believe that this is what love does.
Maybe I'm afraid that if I didn't worry, I wouldn't care.
Maybe I'm afraid that if I didn't worry, I wouldn't care.
Maybe worry is a sign of how much I love him.
Maybe worry is a sign of how much I love him.
I don't know what I would do without all this worry.
I don't know what I would do without all this worry.
Who I am without worry is foreign to me.
Who I am without worry is foreign to me.
I love my son.
I love my son.
I am his lioness.
I am his lioness.
I'm supposed to protect.
I'm supposed to protect.
And if I can't protect,
I can't protect.
the second best thing I could do is be worried sick.
The second best thing I can do is be worried sick.
So I'm being a good mother
So I'm being a good mother
by freaking out.
by freaking out.
And a part of me knows this is ridiculous.
And a part of me knows this is ridiculous.
But it's so popular and prevalent
But it's so popular and prevalent
that I'm just acting it out,
that I'm just acting it out,
being the good worried mother.
being the good worried mother.
And I really am tired of it,
And I'm really tired of it.
and I'm willing to let it go.
And I'm willing to let it go.
I'm willing to see that my son is in good hands,
I'm willing to see that my son is in good hands.
that there are a million wonderful things that could happen through this.
That there are a million wonderful things that could happen through this.
And I release projecting my own fear onto my son.
And I release projecting my own fear onto my son.
I choose to surrender my son to the Holy Spirit.
I choose to surrender my son to the Holy Spirit.
Because even when his rent goes up,
Because even when his rent goes up,
he is taken care of.
he is taken care of.
I'm willing to cut the cords of worry between me and my son
I'm willing to cut the cords of worry between me and my son
and let him be God's son,
and let him be God's son,
safe and secure and whole,
safe and secure and whole,
free from all limits
free from all limits,
and on his path.
on his path.
All of these things are lessons God would have him learn.
All of these things are lessons that God would have him learn.
There is nothing his holiness cannot do.
There's nothing his holiness cannot do.
He can raise his income in the blink of an eye,
He can raise his income in the blink of an eye,
or he could be homeless and happy as hell,
or he could be homeless and happy as hell,
or he could be suffering and I could be in heaven.
or he could be suffering and I could be in heaven.
It's okay for him to learn through pain.
It's okay for him to learn through pain.
I no longer have to be in pain when he is in pain.
I no longer have to be in pain when he is in pain.
I'm cutting all cords except the cord of love between me and my son.
I'm cutting all cords except the cord of love between me and my son.
What would love do now?
What would love do now?
Trust.
Trust.
Choosing to trust.
Choosing to trust.
Totally.
Totally.
No matter what his income,
No matter what his income,
no matter what his outcome,
what his outcome,
he is in God's hands.
in God's hands.
And so am I.
And so am I.
So I'm grateful and celebrating my son.
I'm grateful and celebrating my son.
Seeing him strong, safe, and secure
Seeing him strong, safe, and secure.
in body, mind, and spirit.
Body, mind, and spirit. Wow.
Take a nice deep breath. So, good energy work there. I can feel you taking it in.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, that was really good. Now, anybody have a sense well, by the way, Margaret, is there anything else you'd like to say about how you feel now and how that was for you?
That was great. The words were fantastic, Scott. Brilliant. That's exactly what I know, but tapping it in makes such a difference. Tapping those words in.
It sure does. And also having a container, because when you tap alone, you have to be both the one receiving and also the one giving. But when somebody is holding space for you and there's a group with you, then you can just be the receiver, and it's much safer and you can go a lot deeper.
The group support's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Huge.
Isn't that beautiful?
Deep, deep gratitude.
Does anybody else want to unmute and share what that was like for them? I would ask that you don't give advice or even reassurance to Margaret. Let her have her experience. But if you want to share the impact that had on you, that would be a wonderful thing. Does anybody feel like it? Yeah, just unmute there, Yetska.
Yeah, I had the same, not similar feelings about my son, and yeah, that was very recognizable. And it's also good to see that if it is not exactly the same, it is the same.
Yeah, it is the same. I would like to wrap up this time, this little theme, with a song that I wrote for my mother many years ago. And my mother, an atheist, agreed to go on this spiritual retreat with me. I think I was about 24, 25 years old, and she saw things she had never seen before. She saw a 74-year-old man standing on his head doing yoga. It was very illuminating for her. And the retreat was called Mother, Son, Father, Daughter. And I think there were about 18 people at the retreat, 9 children with their parents, so 18, plus a few facilitators. And each parent and child took a turn going on the mat, which means being the center of attention and sharing what they were experiencing in their relationship. And then the facilitators would give guidance, feedback, and all kinds of things. And when my mother went on the mat with me, we were really shocked because we thought we were there to get closer, and the facilitators were like, oh no, you guys are way too close. You have to become autonomous before you can have adult to adult intimacy. And you're got cords all these different chords. And we talked about chords as far as with Margaret, that you have to cut all chords except the chord that you can never cut, which is the chord of love. So the chords are, agreements, usually unconscious agreements. I'll protect you. I'll suffer when you suffer. And of course, chords are also beliefs, like worry equals love. The more I worry, the more I love. So my mother and I had some cutting chords to do, and I wrote this song after the retreat to integrate the experience. And here goes. Oh, take delight in my awkward flight. Don't ponder the how or the why. I'm leaving your nest to discover my best. Don't squeeze on my hand as I fly. Let go and wave, child, goodbye. Oh, take delight in my upward flight. Your love and your fear weigh a ton. The distance I choose is no verdict on you. Don't battle what needs to be done. A man needs to grow from a son. Son, I nursed you and rocked you and answered your cries. I looked out at life through your innocent eyes. Now you're turning away, and it's so hard to bear. I gave you my all, there's a piece of me in there. Oh, take delight in my awkward flight. Let's cut away old worn out strings. I came through your home to discover my own. Please don't let my spaciousness sting. Take joy that I'm finding my wings. My wings. Oh, take delight in my upward flight. Don't pull on the reins tightly so. I'd much rather soar from your heart's open door. Oh, mother, it's time to let go. Oh, mother, it's time to let go. Son, I never knew this would be part of the plan. Part of me wanted to always hold your hand. It's sad, but it's good, and my heart understands. Goodbye to my son is hello to a man. Perhaps we'll be buddies, perhaps we'll be friends. Who knows where we'll land when we touch down again. But for now we must fly in our own separate skies. trusting our love as we say our goodbyes, trusting God's love as we say goodbye, goodbye. Yeah. Gosh. That song, by the way, you can download it for free on my website. All my songs are for free. You can leave a donation or not. And I did leave my website up in the chat. I'm curious. Actually, yeah, I need feedback. I need to know if this is a good direction for our time together. I love it. I'm happy to do it. And it's a little different than what I thought we would be doing on Flashback Fridays. So I am going to leave my email address in the chat. And feel free to give me feedback about how this was for you and what you would most like to see me do with our 30 minutes together on Fridays. Because we could do 2, sometimes even 3 people in this personal sharing. Doesn't have to be with tapping, but since Margaret mentioned tapping, I realized she would be open to it. And we do have...
Scott, I'd like to give you feedback.
Of course, boy.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Vicki.
Scott,
Every time you give me feedback, I know it's going to be really hard to hear, full of criticism. I just, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let me take a breath. Here we go.
Take a breath, Scott. I really want to thank you. I thought that was wonderful. And what I feel is most wonderful is that you have a whole trick, a bag of tricks to use for help in every which way from many traditions. And what I find very grounding is that I trust your guidance to go in the direction that helps bring to our awareness what is usually in the way and very much in common. Like what Margaret's talking about, I have that experience completely. And I think many, many of us do. And cutting the cords of dependency in all relationships, whether it be mother, son, sister, husband, wife. And the form that it takes, whether it be tapping or singing, really gives space for a shift. And my encouragement to you is to continue to follow the natural guidance of your spirit. Don't worry about anyone judging the particular forms or words of expression. They don't matter. What matters is that you are perfectly guided because of your desire to help and love, and that's the strength. And it, more than anything, gave me the opportunity to shift into what I could see as a dependency myself. And the space of tapping and then your song gave that space for a shift and a release to happen that's very genuine, very authentic. And I truly thank you. I thank Margaret for sharing that. And I think it's a very great gift that you give of yourself this way. And I truly want to encourage you, tell you how much I appreciate it, how helpful it is, and that I love you. That this is the language of your soul giving of itself, and it's quite genuine and totally full of grace and help. So my brother, I really love you, and I thank you, and I thank everyone here. Thank you.
All right, that was what I needed to hear. If anyone disagrees with that, email me. I am going to close our time together with a little personal sharing. I've had a milestone recently as a parent. My daughter, 14 years old, started high school on Wednesday. And for lots of reasons, and of course I'm never upset for the reason I think, but for the last 5 days I've been waking up with a lot of grief and just remembering I've been actually journaling about all the beautiful things about her childhood, and just crying about it. She had when she was a baby, like I'm talking about 4 months old, another baby was born in our area, and they became best friends as babies. Their mothers were friends, and so they would come over for play dates, and they would crawl around, and now, after 3 years of going to different schools, they're in high school together, and they're still best friends. And so I'm going to close by sharing with you a song that I wrote for Asia. I haven't sung it to her yet, and I'm hoping that if I sing it often enough before I see her on Zoom on Sunday, that I'll be able to sing it without crying. But I don't think I'm there yet, so I'll share it with you. Where are the lyrics? There it is. Okay. And her friend's name is Hanalea. I refuse to believe you've started high school. I refuse to believe you've come this far. If I blink my eyes, Asia, you'll have learned to drive. And if I blink again, you'll own your first car. I refused to believe you're a freshman. Seems like yesterday we were playing hide and seek. I blinked my eyes and now you're going to concerts. And if I blink again, you will have turned sweet 16. I remember 2 babies crawling across the floor, playing so happy and carefree. Now you and Hanalea have walked right through the doors of Archie Williams High School. How can that be? I refuse to believe you've started high school. Though the proof is gazing at me through my screen, I'm so proud of you, Asia, for who you are, and look forward to seeing what you dream. I look forward to beholding all you dream. I love you guys. Anybody want to just share the impact that song, that my sharing had on you? Because I feel very vulnerable and raw right now, and it can be very helpful to just hear a little feedback from your heart.
Scott, there's more than feedback from our heart. If you couldn't see on the screen, but many of us welling up with tears and love and understanding, and you touched a chord of the untimeliness that happens with human bodies. And if you sing it to her on Sunday and you cry, so what? Her heart's going to be crying with joy.
I actually love crying in front of my daughter because I think it's good role modeling. And her mother's kind of stoic, and so I want somebody in the family to show her it's safe. Thank you, Judy. I called you Judy, is that right? Yes. Oh, I'm starting to learn
That's
names.
correct.
I'm starting to learn names.
Mhm.
Sweet. Anyone else want to share anything?
I will. Scott, this is Sue. I don't have my video on.
Oh, no worries, Sue.
So
I see you very
beautiful.
clearly.
Oh, thank you. It was so precious because we all, so many of us know what it's like to have our children grow up and become amazing individuals. And I'm getting to experience that now with my children, how amazing it is to have them be grown up. So you have a lot of wonderful, wonderful years ahead of you with your daughter. She's lucky to have you. I love you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott, for opening your heart with all of us. You touch all our hearts. You've touched every chord of love and willingness. Thank you so much. Just continue to be yourself, dear brother. Thank you for sharing that self with all of us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. You're my favorite cheerleader for God. You just have a way of seeing and bringing out the best in everyone. Jet told me what you said to him when you visited Namaste. It had such an impact on him.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
I put in the chat room the link to the mother and son song on YouTube. It is sung with a woman playing the part of my mother, and I know it's past time, but I'll share this tiny little story for you because I love miracle stories, and I know you do too. So when I wrote that song and it was time to record it professionally, I knew it would be a duet. I didn't know who would sing the part of my mother, and I kept getting this folk singer that some of you might know, like Vicky, you may know her, Linda Worster. Do you know her? She lives on Nantucket, but she's very, Boston, and she's very popular at Kripalu. Anyway, so she has a very raw, vulnerable, incredibly unique voice. And I had never met her before. She didn't know who I was. So this was before email. And so I sent her a letter saying, I would love for you to sing on my next, they were called cassettes. Anybody remember cassettes? On my next recording. I'll pay you, and I have a special song I want you to sing a duet with me, but there's also places and other songs where you can sing harmony. So it'll be a full day at the studio. How much do you charge? How can we make this happen? And she was in Nantucket Island. I was in California. The studio was going to be in New York City. So we had 6 weeks before I had booked the recording time, and I didn't hear from her. And I kept getting, she's the one. So 2 weeks later, I sent her another letter begging. And I also recorded the song in my bathroom, on a tape recorder, and sent it to her along with the letter. And 2 weeks go by, meaning I have 2 weeks before I fly to New York and start recording, having no idea what I'm going to do about that song. And I get a phone call back, because I had my phone, right, in the letter, and it says, Scott, this is Linda. I heard your song. I heard your song the day after my mother died. And I know I'm supposed to sing that song. So let's make it happen. That's the story. All right. Well, have a beautiful week, everybody. And I'm so glad you're open and receptive to this level of conversation, connection, and healing, because this is what I love to do more than anything. Thank you. And if anybody is ever interested in a private session with me, of course, there are no private thoughts and there are no private sessions, but there is a one-to-one virtual session that I have with people, and tapping is just a part of what goes on in the sessions. And I have it all on my website, which is in the chat room. So have a wonderful week. I love you, and keep up the God work.
We love you, Scott, all of us. Thank you, dear brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
I love it. Bye-bye.